Hi, I'm Kevin Hill, and today we're going to do a nice little painting with a lot of trees, maybe some light filtering through the background. It should be something that's a lot of fun. All right, let's get started. There, I'm just finishing up scrubbing on my clear gel and white mix. I went down a little further than normal. You kind of normally just would want to do it in your sky area. Well, I don't have much of a sky today, so I did it over maybe 2/3 of the canvas, and it's just different. The reason is because I'm going for a super misty look, and I'm okay with a little bit of blurriness, low contrast, and some maybe slightly muddy colors if we don't do the right things, you know. I'm okay with all of that, just because of the way the painting's gonna be today. So anyway, let me mix up a nice soft. That is way too dark, so I'm just gonna grab a new brush. At that point, that brush has got too much paint in it to use, so I want it much softer. See that? Good, a little on the red side. Very nice, that's what I'm looking for. Okay, so I want that kind of hazy color right here in the background, and all I want to do is kind of focus on light and a little bit of haze. So I'm going to do this color first, maybe leave a nice spot right here in the middle. We could do a little, actually just to the left of center. I don't even have a sketch on my canvas today. I don't know if that's a bad idea or not, but I may not do a sketch just for the sake of doing something different. Normally I recommend sketches, but we're just painting trees. I should be able to paint a tree by now, I hope. Watch me not paint a tree. All right, that looks pretty good. Let's take some yellow ochre, actually, just a little touch of it. This is kind of how we'll work the background, just little touches of color. Even that's too much, so I'll reduce it by adding some white and get all that off the canvas. This shows you how kind of careful you have to be when you want to keep things so soft. It's easy to add color. It's surprisingly difficult to kind of restrain yourself, actually, when it comes to adding these colors. See that? Yeah, you probably can't even see it in the camera. Well, that's all right. It'll kind of all come together, hopefully. All right, that's looking pretty good. I put a little more color up here, some purples, a little blue, some kind of turquoise is nice in there. Kind of get away with pretty much anything you want. Even green, because it's a forest, right? So I want a lot of green, I want a lot of blue out on the edges, but in the middle I want a lot of purple. So I got my filbert brush here, and I'm going to start with pink, because I'm going to work pink to purple to kind of bluish to everything else. Okay, just to the left of center, I'm thinking right in here somewhere. I'm just going to start. Ooh, that's high contrast. Yeah, can barely see it. I think we may need to make it a little more contrasty. I didn't think it was going to be quite so soft. Well, that's why you put it up on the canvas. When you check before you decide. There, that's a little higher contrast. Still pretty low. All right, that looks halfway decent. So there's going to be a lot of filbert brush scrubbing, as you might imagine. We'll get out our detail round and do those wonderful comma strokes here. Now I'm going to go ahead and drop in quite a few tree trunks. I did one in purple, now I'm going to do a couple in blue. I'm using my 3/4 brush. You could use the filbert, but I don't know, I just thought I'd change and do something different. So I got several brushes, several brush strokes going, because different brushes will create different effects, right? Okay, we're going to need a lot of tree trunks, so definitely want to get a decent bit in here. I mean, maybe not quite as many as sometimes, but pretty good. All right, let's jump over to the other side. Just maybe a little fewer on this side even. I don't know, maybe we want more mist. Now, we can obviously just get a couple of light ones in and then change very quickly over to a couple of darker ones. Let me show you my palette. You see I've just got one big color pile at this point. And to just keep adding to it and making it a little bit different, but that way it ties the entire painting together with color. Pretty cool. Get a couple of these going. These are slightly warmer, almost a brown. Just, yeah, looks pretty good. Just get a few of them. Ah, you know what? Let's put some umber in. Umber and red, that'll warm them up just a little more. But that really is one of the secrets to color mixing, is mix one color right on top of the next. Almost all the time you won't make a muddy color. Obviously, kind of, you know, use common sense. If you're not looking for green, don't mix green. But if you're okay, you know, if the colors sort of work together, then certainly mix one color on top of the next. All right, let's go back over here and do a couple on this side. There, now that we got the background, well, pretty good start, at least on the background. We can call it that. Pretty good start on the background. Let's go ahead and just create a little more depth here in our road. And well, what road? Well, let's kind of make it road. I'm thinking right in this area. And I'm gonna not go right back into the center. I'm gonna start out here and work into the center so that as I run out of paint, it works out a little better. Gets a little softer. I've got just a nice purple, the same purple I was using kind of in the dark spots of the trees, which is just a dark purple. Imagine that. There. And I'm going to be just slightly more careful than maybe I would normally be just slamming trees in, because these trees are a big part of this painting. Get the grouping and the placement the way that you like it, and maybe a way that works. Maybe wipe out my brush, do a couple more, and then I'll start going back to the middle there. Okay, yeah, starting to run out of paint. See that? Getting nice and light. And then I come in here and I add a couple of these toward the background. Actually, kind of got it started already. Now here's the fun part, and I've already done this once when I was messing around with those tree trunks. Yikes. Take any kind of brush. This is a 1-inch brush, obviously, but you can just erase anything you don't like with white paint, because we don't care if it's a little thick in there. It doesn't matter. Good. Let me see. Kind of just, I want a lot smaller. There we go. All right. So we'll just keep adding these tree trunks. I'm going to try to bring this path more this way, so you'll see that I'm stacking them a little tighter here. There we go. See the difference? Put a little black into it. Maybe a little blue and black. And one little bump. Good. Well, obviously we'll want to mist out the bottom of the trees, and then some of them we can bring back over the mist again if we choose, but this is good. Now with the filbert brush, I'm dropping in at least the underpainting of our road here. There, we'll probably want to take a shop towel and wipe this off when we're done, so just kind of note that I'm going to be doing that. That's the only way we're going to get highlights to stick. You can also see I've spent just a couple more minutes throwing in some big trees with a little more color. A lot of color changes in there, which they're a lot of fun to do. They take just a couple seconds and they really make a big difference, don't they? I think with a simple painting you need extra color. That's just me. I really think it helps. There, this is kind of interesting though, isn't it? Just a nice, relatively straight path right in the woods here. The light's kind of filtering through the back, but more maybe on the right side, so we'll put a highlight on the right, put a little bit of a shadow on the left perhaps, you know, something like that. I don't know. There. And when we hit this all with a shop towel, this will kind of mush together. So you don't need to be too terribly careful at this point. All right, now the other thing I want to do, now we've all seen photos and stuff of just trees lining a road. Now to make this slightly different, kind of put my own spin on very classic composition that we kind of find everywhere, is I want to take maybe this and just bring this out. Maybe this is some cliffs or a rock or something. I don't know. I just know I want to do something. Just sort of change up a very standard composition. Make it a little different, but yeah, it's still kind of that looking through the road style painting, which are kind of fun, which I don't do very often. I've done a couple of these in the past, but maybe never one quite this colorful. Now I'm going to go ahead and work on some evergreen trees here in the forest. For the most part, these are going to be more subtle than the nice, pretty, I don't know, colorful trees. But I would like a few. I'm using the filbert brush and I'm sweeping like this. That does two things. See, if you tap, you get a thicker, see how that's thicker and it looks darker? But if you sweep, that kind of brushes it into the background and you get a much lighter stroke. There. So anyway, that's how we'll make them look kind of misty. That looks pretty good. We're gonna have extra leaves on top, so we got even more stuff happening to the top of the canvas. But at least here at the bottom, I'd like to to pay a little more attention. I won't do too much at the top because, like I said, they'll probably just get covered, you know. There. So I did my normal kind of smush some color in, and then let me show you my palette. Just a nice dark green. And maybe, let's see, maybe a short one. We can have a short one. You can kind of wipe your brush out and then blend it back into the mist. See that? Ooh, I like that a lot. This brushing technique is really good for this painting. Sometimes you'd rather tap them on and get them a little darker. It just depends on what you're doing. Nice. We can always bring it, actually, yeah, forget that. I'm not painting around that tree. We'll bring the tree back over it. A little brown won't hurt anything. Now I've got a very deep red. It has just a little touch of purple in it, and actually a little touch of yellow in it too. And I'm going to use this on the 3/4 brush to create extra leaves up here. I went ahead and I started with this lighter tone. That's what that is right there, that lighter tone. Kind of in the background, there's a little more yellow, and then I put my trees back over it. So I pushed it back. And that's how you can sneak things back, you know, because obviously in a painting like this, where it's not going back, you know, it's not like 2 miles of mountains, right? I mean, they're just trees. And so you'll want to say, oops, I want something, you know, in that middle layer. You'll end up having to kind of stick it in and put your trees back over it quite a bit. It's something that I've done a lot. And it's just better than leaving it out, or better than trying to paint around the trees. So don't worry about it. It's going to happen. I'm not going too far down here. Okay, and then as I go to the left, this is very important. I want to get more purple. A little white. A little more purple as we go to the left. And then over here we'll end up with a nice cool purple, almost like what we have there. But that just gives us a nice, really beautiful transition. And I think it'll really work. I'm going to change to the detail round brush and, you know, bring some detail out of these leaves. I'm just getting the color blocked in for now. So I'm not leaving it just like this. It'll be a little better. And again, don't overdo it. Kind of leave it sparse. Not too many leaves. Now I have my detail round brush and I'm using my comma strokes. Oh, I love these things. We're going to do just a million little comma strokes up here. And I'm just taking the paint that's on the canvas and I'm pulling it around. And you know what? I'll also be adding to it, you know, I've got to find a clean spot to work. I'm grabbing just a pink, because I think that'd be nice up in here. Ooh, that's not quite what I was hoping for. A little darker. There, see how you play around with color. Good. So anyway, those are really nice. So I'm just going to take, for the most part, the paint that's on the canvas. I'm adding a little here and there. And I'm just going to create these little commas. Each one touches another. That's the only secret to doing these. Don't just want to come up here. Let me show you, just so you know, you don't want to come up here and just do, see how they're disjointed? You want to actually do several that touch each other. Cool. All right. Kind of helps to use the color on the brush, you know, that's up here if there's not enough to move around. I was fairly sparing, except for up there. So I may be doing that a little more. Now just finishing up here, wiping this path really good with a shop towel. Doing my best to get every tiny bit of loose paint off the canvas. When you can see the weave of the canvas clearly, then you know you got all the paint off you can. I use several towels to get down to this point, so it's not, you know, it's okay if you're taking off a lot of paint. All right, now we can highlight. So I've got just a little yellow and white, detail round brush, a lot of paint, because this is hopefully our final highlight. There, just touch it. I like to start in the middle. You could easily start in the back or the front, doesn't really matter. This way you kind of just work up and down. Obviously it gets quieter, but those beautiful purples and stuff that we added, now they're really paying off because they're locked in. You couldn't get them off now if you wanted to. There. I'm being slightly more slow here because it gets you a little, you know, a little better look than just jamming in here fast and getting it all done in 2 seconds. You have a little better control that way. See that? You're able to kind of create these little ridges and mounds, and the path will actually make more sense if you do this. It'll just look a little more developed, and I think you'll be happy with the look. You can sort of bump your price up a couple bucks for it. How's that? Nice. You'll notice it just doesn't mix at all. It really doesn't. We'll probably want to put a little extra purple there and then blend the two together. Now, one of the last things that we're going to do, it's not the last because I want to get that liner brush out, but one of the last things is just highlighting these trees. The best way to do it is take your detail round and hold it upside down like this, and then drag down the tree, rotating the brush in your fingers to feed clean paint to the end. That is probably the easiest way to get it, just a nice pure highlight without any mixing. Really, much of any to speak of at all. Now you could wipe these trees if you're struggling with this, but this is going on okay, so I'm not going to bother. You know, just adds an extra step. There, that looks good. Don't do it everywhere. In fact, that may have been too much. I may end up taking out some of that. I want just a little highlight, not as much over here. There, there, good. Because, of course, the light's filtering through the trees, so you really don't want it everywhere. Less and less and less. And less as you get back. Now it's finally time to go ahead and drop on some limbs to these trees. Lots of trees, so we're gonna do lots of limbs, right? All right, well, I think we're done. I had a lot of fun. I hope you did too. Don't forget to check out our website, DVDs, and brush line. Thanks for watching.